Start with a dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room, express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, sirens blare, the tables sit near folding chairs, the stages sit with paint and glue, and love went into every screw. The light shine bright on every star, they come to play from near and far. The light shine bright on every star, they come to play from near and far. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room, express yourself and have your say. Hearing room, a listening room. You're welcome here, so have no fear. The hearing room, the hearing room. Come in, my friend, where art can bloom.
And welcome to the Woodshed Podcast. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and this is the Woodshed Podcast with Jay Gillespie today. And Jay is going to sing about his life and his work and his music and everything else. So we're going to talk to him in just a minute. But first, I want to talk to everybody about the hearing room. So if you're not coming here, you should be. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we also have a lot of stuff going on for music and art and other fun things. So you can participate in all this. The best place to find out what you can do here is to go to hearingroom.net, our website. But I'm going to run through the list of events so you get an idea of what a week at the Hearing Room is like. First of all, we have the podcast on Mondays, and we also, once a month, on the second Monday, we do a blues jam, and that's with Woody Carpinella, Roland Oxenbein, and Tim Feeler, and it's a great evening to come and jam with a great band and play the blues. There is, on Tuesday night, an open mic every week. So every week, 7 to 10, Tuesday night is open mic at the Hearing Room. Then Wednesday is Let's Have Words if you are a poet or a writer or a wannabe poet or wannabe writer or whatever. If you want to read spoken word, well, I guess it's not reading spoken word. I guess it's reading words. If you want to read prose or poetry or whatever, come to Let's Have Words. That's Wednesday night, 7 to 10. Thursday is the Singin' Jam, and the Singin' Jam is everybody playing together with words and chords on the screen. It's a great time. And it's kind of a party. We had a big one last week. It was 35 people showed up. It was great. And what you do with this evening is basically bring your guitar, play along, and you can even get a solo. You just let Mark Allio know you want a solo. He'll take care of you. Fridays, we have often a jam. There are 2 definite scheduled jams, and then there are other jams and open mics that happen on Fridays and sometimes performances. So it does vary. You should check the website, hearingroom.net, to know exactly what's going on. But we have the Bluegrass Jam, we have the Acoustic Jam. The Acoustic Jam is the first Friday of the month. The Bluegrass Jam is the third Friday of the month, and we have other events the other Fridays. Then Saturdays, we have the Performance Lab, and there's electronic music at that, and other things are going on Saturday. You just, again, have to check the calendar, hearingroom.net. Finally, Sunday. We have the drum circle, which is 12:30 to 1:30. And the drum circle is what it sounds like. Everybody plays the drums, and there is a leader, and everybody kind of follows along with the rhythms. And you can have a part in setting the rhythm yourself, too. It's great. And then open mic from 2 to 5 on Sunday, which is every week, and it's in the round. So we sit in chairs on the floor, and we each play one song, and it's great. It's great fun. That's the one I host, and I love that as a Sunday afternoon activity. It's the best way to spend a Sunday. And we also want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. The Greenville Junction Shop is spelled Greenville, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe. The Greenville Junction Shop is an upcycling shop in Clinton, Massachusetts, and Greenville, New Hampshire. And it is a lot of fun to go shopping there because they have furniture, household appliances, electronics. You never know what you're going to come up with when you look at what they've got in stock. They take stuff that is recycled from the side of the road, from estate sales, from garage sales, from just about any kind of sale, eBay, Craigslist, all that stuff. So if you want to find great deals and great stuff that's been curated by the people at Greenville Junction Shop, you can do that by going to Facebook and looking up their page, Greenville Junction, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe. The Greenville Junction Shop is also available for estate and garage cleanout. And they do have a website, greenvillejunction.com. Again, that's Junktion. That is an incorrect spelling of junction, but that's the point, because it's junction. And you should check them out. They're amazing. And I bought a few things from them myself, so check them out. And they are a big supporter of the Hearing Room and the podcast. So we're here now with Jay Gillespie. How you doing, Jay?
Good. How you doing, Aaron? Thank you very much for having me, by the way. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. I was excited to have you. You've been to the open mic and some of the other events at the Hearing Room. And
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I like your stuff. So
thanks.
And now you'll get to share it with the world.
Thanks.
Which
is kind of the goal, to share your songs with the world, share your stuff, share your writing with the world. Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the point of the Hearing Room, is what else are we doing here?
That's the name, the Hearing Room, yes.
What?
Like it.
What?
Huh?
So, Jay, you are from what area?
I am from the South Shore of Massachusetts, but I ended up... I was actually kind of a child of the city, believe it or not. My grandmother was in the city, living at Charles River Park, actually, when it first was built when I was a kid. And so we were brought in there frequently. And as she would later say, as she sat in a rocking chair in her apartment, drinking a glass of scotch, and say that the city gets into your blood, and it's gotten into your blood. So I ended up in Boston for about 13 or 14 years, living in the North End, actually, even though I kind of masqueraded around there as an Irish guy, but and eventually ended up out in Somerville, which to me was like moving out to the country. So, but you could park a car there, which I thought was amazing.
Not anymore.
Went all those years, right? Not anymore. Nor can you afford it. But
yeah,
it.
I lived in Somerville for a year as well. I lived in Inman Square. It was great.
Yeah, I was on Winter Hill. Your joke here, and Yep, Winter Hill, which was fantastic. I loved it, as I said, because you could park. It's actually where my mother grew up, on Prospect Hill in Somerville, so I had roots there as well, believe it or not. So, but I thought it was just... I never dreamed when I was living in the city, where I went without a car for years and years and years, that I would actually relish the idea of living in what I considered to be way outside the city in Somerville. But it was just... I just thought it was fantastic, just the environment and the culture and all kinds of good things. And sadly, I did not buy a condo there when I had the chance. And
that was a mistake.
Tried to go back and do that 15 years later last year, and didn't really.
Yeah.
Unless I had won the lottery, it was pretty much out of the question.
Those are going for a lot.
Yeah.
I used
stuff,
to hang out at Davis Square. That's another good place.
It's supposed to be one of the top 10 most happening places in the United States, they say. And it's
Oh,
still,
is it?
yeah, it's still, that is a little bit far-fetched for me even now to think of that. Although I like the Goodwill store. I do like the Goodwill store.
How do you call something happening, though? I mean, I don't know that it's happening.
Right.
There isn't a lot of, like, clubs or anything there.
Yeah, and Johnny D's closed. And
Right. There's Red Bones.
the Buren, yeah.
And
So
the
that's-
Buren is
yeah,
great.
You're right.
But other than the Buren, I mean, what
Yeah.
else is there for music? Or
Right.
anything?
They have a couple of places that open. I think Nuggets, the record store Nuggets used to be in there, which was fun to go to.
Well, I don't think that's there
No,
anymore.
that's long gone.
Yeah.
But
And there was a bookstore there that was great.
the Rosebud Diner. Yeah, there's a bookstore.
There was.
There
not-
was, yeah.
Not
And
now.
what the Buren is supposed to be bought, isn't it? Did you hear that?
Well, I didn't hear that,
I think
no.
that a company for one of the colleges, I'm not sure what the exact story is there, but I think they bought that entire block. So they're really concerned about the future of that place as well.
Well, I hope it sticks around.
I do
'cause
too.
It's
I
a great
definitely
place.
do. Yep.
Yeah, there is a lot of good stuff going there, and
Yeah.
Tom Bianchi does a good job of getting great people to come in.
Yeah.
And Dan Cloutier just started his open mic there. So
Oh,
that's
nice,
good.
nice.
That's once a month now. So
What night is that on? Do you know?
I think it was a Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
My memory's failing me, but I
Right,
think
that's in the back room. The back room there?
Yeah.
Yep, the big stage, sure.
Yeah, I went to the first one, which was the beginning of this year.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a nice evening. It's a lot of people, a lot of participation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so right now I'm out down in Scituate on the South Shore, and I'm a proud homeowner, but not necessarily a 100% happy homeowner, because I think that the city is still in my blood, and I think that my dog is relatively young, but I basically tell people when the dog goes, I'm back in the city. So that's the plan.
will you work in Scituate?
I do work in Scituate. Yes, I work in Scituate. That's which is convenient, but I'm an 8th grade teacher in Scituate, so it is a little bit like when you're around town there, you got to be very careful, because then you're like a celebrity. So it's
Right,
it's a little bit, it's like being like Mick Jagger or something when you're down at the Scituate Harbor. So you got to be careful of like who you're running into, and you're shaking hands and talking to parents, and kids are high fiving you and stuff like that. So it's a little much sometimes. It was actually kind of nice. I was still living in Somerville when I started teaching there, so that distance was nice. In fact,
Yeah.
I tell kids that I still live in Somerville and that I keep 2 residences just to have that sort of distance.
Well, I mean,
So-
if you're going to do that, tell them you live atop of the Prudential in a penthouse.
I could do that too. Yeah, so I just like to add
Tell
the
'em
mystery.
anything.
Yeah, a little bit of mystery to it.
And
It's always fun.
so they're not afraid to like come up to you, because my son is 4th grade, and he's like sees his teacher and he freezes. Like there's no, like he's not allowed to talk. The teacher's out of school. What is that?
Yeah, exactly. I have 120 kids roughly this year, and I think that 110 of them would be perfectly happy to come right up to you. there might be 10 that would be like, we don't want to just go bug this guy,
Yeah.
But for the most part, most of them would show up right at your door probably.
All right.
So, which is why I have to hide on Halloween. You got to be careful of people coming over
Yeah.
in costumes. You just never know who's on your doorstep.
Yeah, they've aged past that awkward stage of not wanting to talk to the teacher.
For
I
the
guess.
most part, yeah. Yep. Sometimes
So-
they want to talk to the teacher too much. They give me nicknames and that kind of thing. So it's
Well, that's a
good
whole
enough.
other story.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so
It's fun.
So you are an 8th grade teacher, but that's not your only career.
That is not my only career. In fact, I think of that as my. I don't really think of that as my career, actually, because I've been on a lifelong goal to do all kinds of different artistic endeavors wherever they may take me, and I always think that is really, not necessarily the money making opportunity that I that I could have, but it's the thing that really drives me.
Yeah, you went into 8th grade teaching, which is where the money is.
I went into
Right.
8th grade teaching where
Yeah.
the money is. That's why I do it, for the money. And
Right.
yes, exactly. That's what I do. When I had to survey all the different occupations out there, I thought like teaching will make me a lot. That's what I want to do. So yeah. But I actually went into teaching, believe it or not, because I thought that, and I'm not sure because everybody goes through school, so I don't know why I thought that there would be all this extra time. But I thought that's the perfect job for me because it will give me time to write. And it literally took me about 20 years to have any time to actually write. So because you're so busy doing, as I tell the kids, like now I'm correcting all the homework that I actually never did in school. So it's not like you guys get to move on. I don't. So,
right.
For every one homework you guys don't do, I have to correct 120 of them. So,
right.
And then they see the reality. They go, oh, I gotcha.
It's not all that fun,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So someday, guys, you're going to grow up to be me. And they said, no, we won't. I said that once, but, here I am.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah.
So, but what else your other career?
Well, I consider myself a writer, and that the writing is exacerbated through songwriting. I write a column called The World According to Gillespie, which is at readjaygillespie.blogspot.com, which is picked up for the most part by the wicked local papers. It is also, and I'm not sure exactly how journalism works these days, but it has been picked up on other places as well. For instance, I did an article about the Liberty Hill Farm up in Rochester, Vermont, which is an actual working dairy farm where Beth Kennett and her husband, I can't remember her husband's name, but they own it. And so it's not only a bed and breakfast, but it's a working farm where you can actually go up there and take part in all the activities. And people sit around for dinner at night, and you hold hands before you have dinner, which you immediately think, like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's actually a really cool thing. You make a lot of good friends there and get to know people from all kinds of different walks of life. It's very, very cool, and it's one of those. It's a farm where she actually doesn't waste anything. Everything is farm to table.
Oh, wow.
Right there. So, and she's an incredible cook. So I did an article about the Liberty Hill Farm when I was up there, and when it was printed in the wicked local papers, wherever they may be, all over the known world, I called her to say, Beth, I just want you to know that I did a promotional article for you, and it's printed down here, it's published down here. And she said, I know, it's on the front page right in front of me of the Rochester Herald or whatever. So they managed to get a hold of it. But
that's good.
Yeah, that article I do is basically a combination, and not to put myself in any particular category, but I always think if you took Andy Rooney and Dave Barry and Mike Barnacle and put them all together, that would kind of be what I do with my writing. So it's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor, a little bit of historian-based work, and also a little bit of critical, Barnacle, political kind of stuff as well. So all mixed into one.
You a historian?
I consider myself a historian because I'm a history teacher, and some of our history teachers say that just because you're a history teacher doesn't mean you're a historian. And I say, well, I think of it the other way around. I consider myself more of a historian that happens to be a history teacher. So I like it that way better.
Okay. So
I don't know why, but
I don't know. There's no answer.
There is no answer. So that's the magic of it. You're always in search of the answer, and no particular answer.
Only questions.
Yes. Questions.
So, what kind of songs do you write?
I've always been interested in music, and I suppose that it really started to strike me, again, as a writer, the effect that words can have on people. And, growing up as a kid, a child of the late 60s kind of a thing, and my sister had a guitar, and I was always accused of being the little brother that always broke into her guitar case and broke the strings, which I never did, but I was intrigued by it, so I did open the case, but I never did break a string. But music in the house, Simon and Garfunkel and Roger Miller and Loretta Lynn and Gordon Lightfoot and the Beatles and things like this.
Right.
So I mean, growing up in that kind of a thing, I think that at least by form of osmosis, got into my head that this, people are telling a story. And then, of course, with the journey of music, the way that it kind of went through the 70s, and you're kind of growing up and you experience this, that, and the other thing. But I was always interested in the rhythms and how they stick in your head, but continued an interest in music, and always thought, like, well, how does one get to that point when they're able to do that?
Right.
Because clearly I couldn't touch my sister's guitar. So, and I remember she got an electric guitar, at least for a while, early in the 70s, and it was Candy Apple Red, and I'll never forget it because it was like a new car. I thought, like, wow, that is magical, that thing. And it disappeared. I don't think she liked it, so I think we got rid of it. But
that's too bad.
It's incredible.
Should have given it to you.
I thought it was incredible, right? So, no, but of course that was the, she was the one that was given all the musical potential, and I was just kind of the one sitting there going, what about me? I think it was when John Lennon was killed, and I realized that it suddenly struck me that not just the enormity of that situation, but I just thought it's an incredible power of the words, that reach people. So, I mean, even with knowledge of the Beatles and everything that had happened, all the years before, but just thinking what an incredible amount of power those words had to have that kind of an effect. So that kind of hit me. And then in terms of songwriting, I was actually in a really serious car accident in 1984, and of which I felt no pain whatsoever. But I was basically out cold for about a week and a half, and of course I had all these crazy dreams in my head at the time, which were actually really productive. But at a really young age, which was about 16 or 17 at the time, I got to come out of that and think, I need to do everything possible. Everything that I want to do, I have to do. So don't get stuck in this machine of life where you're going to be prohibited and stuck behind the 8 ball and not be able to do these things. You have to reach out and get them. And guitar and music period, was one of those things. And it was also a way that I felt like was to tell your story. Now, the problem is, Aaron, is that just like with a writer, they say you can't write a book until you're 40. So I think that was sort of a process for me too. I mean, you develop as a songwriter, and you kind of go through life and you experience different things. So I think now into my riper old age, I've become a much better songwriter, and it also is a way. It has become a way for me to communicate and to tell my story, and that's basically, I think, what any. I hate to be cliche and use the word artist, but as somebody who paints a little bit, somebody who writes a column, somebody I might even put teaching in that, like a little bit of an art and a little bit of a science. I've worked as a stand-up comedian, but all of those things go back to writing, and it's really just a way of expressing yourself and telling that story. Because I having been in that car accident, I do have this constant understanding that when all is said and done, what are you leaving behind? Because it could end like that, and you have to be ready. So you have to know that, like, those words are important. What are we saying? What are we leaving behind? What are we saying? And what lessons are we going to leave behind? And so that's really, to me, that's part of telling that story. Yeah. So I think that's really important. So I haven't gone out and tried to create hits. I just not that I have any hits, but I just kind of write what I write, and with the sensibilities that I have, and they have happened like they have, and I don't pressure myself to do it, and I've created a pretty good library of songs. And
you wouldn't be upset if you had a hit, though.
I would not be upset if I had a hit, but no, I would not be upset at all. In fact, I frequently tell my dog, if we could just get one hit. Just one. We'll be good with that. But
you can be the one-hit wonder.
I'll take it. But it's certainly not why I do it. In fact, I don't even really do it for the sake of being a musician. I do it because it's just another way to communicate those words and to express yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
So
that's how I write.
Why don't you play a song?
I will play a song. Let me see. All right. This is called "You Should Have Listened to Your Man," and this is the kind of a song. This talks about the end of a relationship when you're at the point when there's really no use in talking anymore, and you realize that it's pretty much all said and done, and you get to the point where you've pretty much moved on, and that was the point when I wrote this song.
Okay.
All the times you tried to tell me how to act around your family, all the times that you just really put me down.
Well, darling, you don't have to worry about me being your honey. 'Cause baby, I just took the first bus out of town. Well, I know that you're thinking about all those things we said, and I know that your heart is moving on. And although I've tried to let you, my broken heart won't forget you. You should have listened to your man. When you look at how we living, baby, my heart's done forgiven. Now you see the man you thought you'd had. As a friend you would reject me, as a man you can respect me. Your love for me was destined to go bad. Well, I know that you're thinking about all those things we said, and I know that your heart is moving on. And although I've tried to let you, my broken heart won't forget you. You should have listened to your man. You should have listened to your man. You should have listened to your man. Thanks.
So,
Got a little inventive there. I kind of ended on a C and then a G. A little trial and
nice.
error stuff. Yeah, I like that.
live.
Live, yes. You got the
is
power
that
of
way?
live music, right?
Yeah, you can
Right.
just, whatever you do, that's what we got.
That's it. That's it.
So,
Yep.
So who was that written to?
It's
Okay, well,
it was actually an ex fiance who and actually a lot of the songs are dedicated to her, but in a really good way actually. And ex fiance, and she and I are actually very close now too. So it's been a really nice process actually, and you know, I have this kind of theory of love based on this, is that you can, because I'm divorced twice, and I'm the last person that should probably be married at this point. This, I think, my dog and my guitar are all I need, but or all that need me, that's for sure. But I have this theory that love, you never actually really fall out of love. It kind of just gets stuffed inside you. And very few people are given the opportunity to actually be in a situation where they're with that other person, where that same kind of chemistry, even if that chemistry is just in a situation where you were just friends, is able to be recaptured. And so she and I were actually in that situation, which was really cool. It's like a really nice situation. So, and it's nice in the respect too that people notice that, just like they notice people when they're first in love. So they know that obviously these two people care for each other.
right.
So that part I think never goes away, which is a really nice thing. It's a really nice supportive thing to kind of have somebody like that. And the songs I think are interesting because, and these songs aren't all about that relationship, but I think the songs are interesting because they're a way for me in those situations to be able to communicate. It's like when they tell you, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
And
But you can sing it.
I think there's a point in a relationship where it's like, even though you desperately want it to, it's like Woody Allen said, like there's a dead shark. Basically a shark has to keep moving, right? And essentially what we have here is a dead shark, and it's a necessity to really stop talking at some point, and so you split apart. And I think that's where the songs are really, really effective, because I think song writing is a way to not only put that down on paper, the feelings that you're having, but also, for posterity's sake, it's a really nice thing to have, because then it shows caring and feeling and love and all these different things that that are recorded and still there. So it's nice.
That's actually interesting because James Taylor's been doing a lot of stuff lately with thinking about his life.
Yeah.
And so he's been doing this, he said there's some article I read, My Life in 7 Songs.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah.
So, because kind of it does trace your path when you go back to the old songs you've written.
Right, yeah. And that's how I think, too. Like I said, for, when all is said and done, which is the inevitable for all of us, it's... what are those songs? What are they going to say about you? What do they say? 100 years later, are they going to listen to it like, wow, listen to what this guy had to say? So in other words, who are the Woody Guthries of our day? Who are the Will Rogers of our day? Like, who are the people that are out there? Because obviously those vacuums have to be filled, and maybe they're not the people that we think are the obvious people. Maybe they're, maybe stuff is secretly stored in the Library of Congress that later will come out and be really interesting things. So it's.
Or maybe we aren't that wise anymore and nobody's there.
That could also be too. Well, maybe they were telling themselves that then too. Who knows?
Right. I mean, there are some, but the sometimes we do get obsessed about the light and airy stuff rather than the serious stuff.
Exactly.
Which is why folk music is so popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so light and airy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can be light and airy. It can also be,
Yeah,
it
it's better when it's depressing. But
it's hard not to be depressing. That's what my ex-wife used to say. It's like, how come you never write a song about me? I was like, well, that's not really how they go.
Right.
It doesn't really work quite like that, although now she would be happy to know, I guess, that I've written several about her, but I'm not going to play any today, but that's probably on the next album.
Okay, there you go.
Next
album is
how they happen.
Just titled with her name, right?
Probably not.
Yeah,
no, probably not. That would be too much credit. So we're going to stay away from that.
All right.
But the songs are the songs, whether they apply, or not.
So tell me a joke. You were a comedian.
Well, that was a long time ago, Aaron. So it's like, And so then, of course, they have to come in context. I mean, the style is the man himself.
So are they story kind of jokes seated?
Well, it's... I'll tell you what, we'll keep talking, and if I say something particularly funny, then...
I'll let you know.
Right, that's right. So, for instance, you were talking about traveling earlier, and that is a similar thing with me, and that's why, like one of my dreams in terms of music is to go out and get one of those old Toyota Winnebagos they stopped making in about 1994, even though I think it's the right size. Probably it might be a little old now, but if I can find one of those and take the dog and my guitar and travel around at least New England, I'll say, because I really don't like driving. But maybe go out and explore somewhere and play music, even if it's in places where you can go out and just show up places. Who's playing tonight? Which I have done some of, and they'll say, well, the guy didn't show up. I was like, well, I'll play an hour for you, which is great because there's no pressure because you could just say, well, I'm done. That's it,
Right.
But my problem is that, pretty much if I cross the Tobin Bridge, I break into a cold sweat. So that's
really?
a joke. So there you go. That's kind of a joke. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Okay.
So you reminded me of that book, Travels with Charlie.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah. Yep. Sure. Yeah.
Although he didn't have a guitar, but he's a writer.
No, right. And that's what I want to do, too. I want to go out and obviously document it through writing, too, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
And if I could teach my dog to type, that would be really good. But she won't even, she's the anti-lab. She will chase a tennis ball. She will not put a tennis ball in her mouth. So she kind of runs after things. But she's a Labrador, locator, not a Labrador. She does not retrieve things. So that
she just looks at you and goes, "Yeah, I found it."
Yeah, we did this thing when she was about a year old, where I would walk through the woods and throw sticks, and so I would throw a stick, and then she would look at me, and then I would look at her, and then I would run after it, thinking I was modeling retrieving things, and then I think she casually learned that it's like, well, I don't really need to retrieve anything because this guy's going to go run 100 yards to get the stick and bring it back. So it's kind of a reverse relationship.
You have a dog that's too smart. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's debatable too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the dog's smart or not smart, one or the other. But we'll see. It was interesting when you mentioned the James Taylor thing too, Aaron. Because did you see the CBS Sunday Morning episode?
I didn't see that yet. No.
It's great because he talked about growing up in whichever Carolina he grew up in.
Right.
And he said that one of the things that was great about his childhood, and not in terms of creatively playing the guitar, but he said that they had tons of free downtime, which is something that I always, tell my kids in school is everything you have now is scheduled. You guys are super busy. Mm-hmm. It's not right, because I said humans have to have that time to be able to think and to process and to reflect.
Right.
And without that, that there will be no more James Taylors, if you can't get that time. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I'm going to write a song about that, but I have not done it yet. Yes, it's in my notebook.
So I actually read his, not read. There's an audiobook he came out with. It's an hour and a half of him talking about that time, like pre-21 years old.
Right.
And he just talks about, what it was like growing up in the Carolinas and what it was like with his family. I mean, he didn't have the easiest childhood.
No.
And he, and then he was in a mental institution for a long time.
Right, yeah.
Which I don't quite understand, but, he
checked himself in, I think, one of the points.
Yeah, he did. And I think that what you're talking about, having the downtime, I think that might have been his way of dealing with it,
I think you're right. Yeah, because they said Fire and Rain and some of those great songs were actually written in that period. So
right.
And in the same parallel, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but when I was in that car accident and I was, of course everybody was super concerned about me, but I look at it as really probably the most intellectually productive part of my entire life, because it was a point just before adulthood when I was actually able to reconsider everything that I had been brought up to believe. Mm-hmm. So I got to really reflect on, to really stop. See, my brain got to really stop. Some people think my brain really did stop, but to really stop and think, and to have that again in a different kind of way, that downtime, and to think about where am I going and what does it all mean.
Yeah.
And I did, and it really was life changing, because I don't think that I have ever really let that go. I mean, it's always been a situation where, it always comes back to that, because which is probably one of the reasons why I can't stay married. Because I'm always kind of on the go. I can't drop that dream of there has to be production, there has to be reflection, there has to be. You have to be out there telling your story. It has to happen, because otherwise, then I can't understand what human nature is without that.
Right. So, did you have kids, by the way?
I did not have kids. No,
okay.
Just a dog. Yep.
You have 120 kids, right?
I have
now,
120 kids. That's what I always tell them. I have enough. All you have to do is chaperone one 8th grade dance to realize
it's enough.
A dog is enough. Yep, that's enough. That's enough. So I have everybody else's kids, which is plenty, and I get to go home and there aren't any, so that's a good thing too.
Yeah. That's and it's the opposite for the parents. They send them to you, and
that's right.
A few hours without.
Yep. So their vacation is almost on its way, and mine is almost over right now. So, February.
Yeah, vacation for parents is not really vacation.
No, it's not. Yeah. Nope.
It's when you're on the most.
That's right. That's right.
I did a Pokemon puzzle with my son yesterday, though, so that was fun.
That's fine. No, I have no problem with kids.
I would never have done a Pokemon puzzle probably on my own.
Probably not. I would hope that you would not, actually.
I mean, I might have done a puzzle, but certainly would have been Pokemon.
Unless that was the only one. Then
you
have to do a puzzle, and this is all I got.
Well, that's a good question. If you're on a desert island, what puzzle would you bring?
Right, yeah. That is an excellent question.
Yeah, would you bring an all-white puzzle?
Well, why would you
black?
bring a puzzle? Would you bring a puzzle?
Well,
to a desert island?
Why not?
I guess, yeah. That's would probably be in my top 100 things.
Well, it takes a long time, so
you're going to the desert island assuming you're going to be stuck on the desert island.
Yeah, if you're stuck on a desert island, you need something to do. You bring a puzzle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're assuming you're going to be stuck on a desert island.
Well, why not?
You wouldn't even go. You'd say, well, I'm not going to bring a puzzle because assuming I'm going to be... Oh, you mean going to a desert island to be isolated?
Or getting stuck. Maybe you're stuck.
You could do it on purpose.
But, it's that question of which book would you bring? I think it's which puzzle,
Yeah.
You could do both.
That's right.
And if you could bring a book, what book would you bring and what puzzle would you bring? Could be two separate questions, and you could have both.
Yeah. I would bring
give you a
The
lot of
Lost
time.
Continent by Bill Bryson, I think, is the book that I would bring.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love that book. Yep, I love that.
I like A Walk in the Woods.
Walk in the Woods is great, yeah. But I really liked Lost Continent because I just liked that idea, again, of driving around the country and, surveying diners and things like that. It was just like, it's a great book. I haven't read that in years.
Well, we're sitting here in Lowell.
I do, and I have been to the Owl Diner.
Yeah,
So,
but Lowell's the place where, Jack Kerouac's from.
That's right,
and,
yes, yeah.
And then, you're talking about traveling. That's one of the quintessential books.
Yeah, sure.
On the Road
Yep.
was...
Yeah.
It's a weird book,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was Bryson in that book? Oh, there was something I wanted to say about that, but now I cannot recall. But
So I interrupted.
No,
you,
it's okay.
so.
No, absolutely not. That's. I just remember that he went around and went to all these different diners. And I know what I was going to say. That's a monumental book for me because that was the book when I realized I needed glasses, which I wear contacts now. But yeah, so I had read. It was like reading book after book after book after book for years, and then I kind of thought like I must not like reading anymore, because I kept putting it down. And then then somebody said, "Well, you're holding it with your feet." It's the way to. But what are you doing? You need glasses. Man. You gotta, so that's when I realized. Oh, so I don't know how long that had been going on, but yeah. So not related to the Lost Continent, but that's the thing.
Yeah, that happened to me too, except the opposite. I couldn't see distance at all, it was really bad by the time I really broke down and just got the glasses. Because it was like I'd never had glasses and I didn't know how it was, and when I put them on, it was like 3D.
Yeah,
because it was like, I haven't been seeing for a while now,
right?
And now I can see again.
Yeah, the glasses are my first pair of glasses. I was actually out at Sturbridge Village, and because I was with two teachers at a professional development opportunity. Sitting with Abe Lincoln, by the way. This is a great. I told the story on the radio on WML the other day, but. It was a super snowy winter day. We didn't know if Sturbridge was going to be open or not, and we sort of like that. But we went out there, and a couple of teachers showed up, so they still held it. But it was great because I got to sit in the back of the classroom in 1830 with a delinquent Abraham Lincoln impersonator who was great. So he and I were kind of fooling around in the back of the class, which I thought this is the best Sturbridge Village trip ever because I got to actually mess around with the teenage Abraham Lincoln 30 years before he's president. And then the funny part was we all went to lunch after that at the tavern where they served lunch. And then Abraham Lincoln, who was pretty much dressed in character because it was impossible not to be because he was, 6'5" with the beard and the whole thing, dressed in black. And then he put on a pair of skates and went out and skated on the pond. I just thought, like, you can't make this stuff up. This is fantastic. But glasses were put on me that day by one of those teachers because I was complaining. I can't see. I don't know what they're doing. I can't read. So she took the glasses off of her face, put them on me, and said, "Put these on and keep them." And basically shut up, like that kind of thing. So that's how I got my first pair of glasses.
Yeah, and did they work pretty well?
They worked, yeah. I wore them for years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about years. I probably wore them for years, but probably needed to make them stronger. And then
I'm at that point now too. So.
Yeah. So when you talked about kids, that's the ex-fiancée that I was talking about that I said like that that love really never goes away is that she had a daughter who I brought up from her time in the crib, basically, until she was about 6 or 7. Yeah. And so I wrote, actually, my favorite song that I ever wrote was written about her. It was kind of a lullaby, and it was basically about our nighttime ritual. And so I'd like to play that for you.
Go for it.
Yeah, so it goes like this. It's called Good Night, Anna. I see you on the couch, it's story time. Mama has a book open, a glass of wine. It's time to brush your teeth, it's pajama time. Good night, Anna, good night. So don't be scared, we'll leave a little light right outside the door so that you sleep tight. Don't you let those bed bugs bite. Tomorrow's gonna be a special day. When Mama's mad, remember what to do.
Tell her you are sorry, how can I help you? Most of all, tell her I love you. Good night, Anna, good night. Don't be scared, we'll leave a little light right outside the door so that you sleep tight. Don't you let those bed bugs bite. Tomorrow's gonna be a special day. So always know that you're the special girl. You are Mama's best friend in the whole wide world. World's an oyster and you're its little pearl. Good night, Anna, good night. So don't be scared, we'll leave a little light right outside the door so that you sleep tight. Don't you let those bed bugs bite. Tomorrow's gonna be a special day. Tomorrow's gonna be a special day. Tomorrow's gonna be a special day.
Thanks.
So we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Because we're right at the middle here.
All right.
So I wanted to step in and talk about the hearing room. And membership at the hearing room is very important so that we can continue to stay open. The membership is $100 a year. It pays for our rent and our utilities, our bills, all that stuff. And that's it. So the reason that we need members is so that we can have that and then use donations and other things to be able to take care of the physical materials available, you know, the mics and the guitars and the stands and everything else that we make sure are in good working order for everybody, and the sound system and all that stuff. So you should definitely check out our website on membership, and hearingroom.net, again, is the website. The membership link will take you to a page where you can join, and you get a t-shirt, you get a membership card, you get $5 off all events, and some events are $5. So if you do the math, that means $0. But the $5 suggested donation we have is basically waived for that, although you can continue to donate if you choose. And the membership is a great deal because you're supporting this community. And if you come here often, it is important to support the community so that we can continue to be available for everybody. So you can check that out on the website, hearingroom.net, and look at membership. And also you can talk to me or Mark or Kaylin or Nick or a few other people, and you can actually become a member right on site at the hearing room. But as I said on the website, you can join right online as well. We make it possible to do it any number of ways. So check out hearingroom.net, check out our membership, and please come to some events as well, which are also on the website. We also want to thank the Greenville Junction shop, Junction again, Shoppe, Shoppe. They have a Facebook page that tells about what they have available, and they are on Facebook Marketplace as well. So you can check out their Facebook page, look at the items they have for sale, and they have a website that is slowly building, greenvillejunction.com. So greenvillejunction.com is again with a K, Junktion. And they also do estate cleanout, garage cleanout, and they are located in Clinton, Massachusetts, and Greenville, New Hampshire. And I believe they're soon going to have a showroom, so keep an eye out for that. I'll be sure to announce that when it's available and the address and where you can go look at the stuff. So Greenville Junction Shop, check them out. Tell them the podcast sent you. So we're back here with Jay Gillespie, who's here today sharing his experience as a teacher and as a musician and as a writer. So Jay, what was your journey when you started out? Like, how you got in the car accident?
Yeah,
and that was like at a very formative time,
right? Yeah.
But what happened after? Did you go to college right away, or did
I did not go to college right away. I actually spent some time in Chicago, spent some time in San Diego. Really, comparatively limited time, but an experience nonetheless. And I had to actually pay for college myself, so I couldn't afford to go to college until I was about 22. Before that, I was doing a little bit of stand-up comedy in the area, Catch a Rising Star, getting having good success, getting callbacks and having some fun with it. The last actual show that I did, I think it was 1992, was they'd called, Catch a Rising Star had called me and asked me if I could do 5 minutes or so, and I said sure. So I got on the subway and got out to Harvard Square and went there, and then I was sitting at the bar with, I think, Kevin Flynn, who I think went out to Los Angeles after that, but he told me that the entire crowd was a whole group of incoming freshmen from BC. So I said, British Columbia? And he said, no, at Boston College. So the whole act that I did actually dealt with locally oriented things, which means that I had this moment of truth where I had to actually go on and try and be Robin Williams and be completely off the cuff, or they were not going to understand anything I was talking about because they were probably all from out of town. So, and that's actually what happened. So I went up and did my regular act, and you know, it's a little bit contrived. Like, you know, when people are supposed to laugh, when the big laughs are supposed to happen, and then essentially what happened was they laughed at all the wrong jokes. And you know, I'll never forget the two women in the front at a table in front, kind of looking at me like, "What the heck are you talking about?" You know, but I kind of had a good time with it because I thought it's like doing a bad Carson monologue. You know, it was sort of fun in its own way. So, but then that's when I decided to actually go off and become a teacher, because I thought the material was easier to come up with because it was right out of a textbook, at least at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when I did that. But I was. Let me see. This goes. What was your question? Your question was, how did the musical journey start?
Well, it could be music or just in general.
Well, I'll tell you how the musical journey started. Was that I met up in Boston. I was working at the Marriott Copley Place, and I met, who later became a musical collaborator with me, my friend Chris, who had come down. He was in a band that had moved down from Burlington, Vermont, and he and I started messing around like two friends do with songs and guitars and that kind of thing. And I was really pretty raw on the guitar at that point. He taught me a lot of things. We started playing Simon and Garfunkel sets, and we did songs in the subways, and we did songs on the rooftops in the North End, and you know, so I get a lot of experience kind of just playing out and doing those things. And we also wrote some songs and did some things, which was kind of fun. But still, I was very raw at the time. We ended up doing, believe it or not, a spoof album, which was all about bellmen in the city. So really no market for that. I think we sold about 80 copies. We had a great time with it. The real song that we thought was going to be a hit was after Play That Funky Music. Instead, we did Play Garfunkel Music, White Boy. That's what we did, and went nowhere, of course. But we had some good times. We had a studio space that we rented in Somerville or Charlestown, around the line, with a guy who had just gotten into the Blue Man Group. So he would have it in the morning, and he would come in and talk about all the stuff they're doing, you know, all pale-faced from wearing the makeup and stuff. And we thought, like, man, you're totally going down the wrong road. Like, you should be doing this with us, like recording a Bellman spoof CD. And I think he was on the right track. I think he's it's safe to say he's made several $1 million at this point. I think he has condominiums all over the world, and I think he's training the Blue Men at this point, if he's not retired. So
isn't that what you do after you've been a Blue Man for a while? You just train him.
I think they train him, and then I think he might even be retired at a pretty young age. So in the meantime, I think we, like I said, we might have made $10, I think, off that thing. So I think he probably had the right idea.
Well, at least you didn't spend a fortune on rent, right?
We did not spend a fortune on rent. No, it was at the drum complex. I remember that, which meant that it was most times during the day it was extremely noisy to record anything. So we're in there trying to record with guitars, and there's people banging on drums in every room possible. So interesting. And then from there, he went off and got married. He now has 2 daughters and lives hundreds of miles away. So I just continue with my progress on the guitar, and the rest is really history. I think through a series of bad relationships and experiences and writing songs, I've come out with what I've come out with. The idea of recording the songs is interesting too, because it actually came from it was the week of, which is this week, 2003, when the Station nightclub fire had happened, right, in Rhode Island. So this is the anniversary of that. But I saw Steve Earle play on Lansdowne Street in Boston right after that, where I stood right by the door to get out just in case, because I thought, I'm not going to go anywhere near this place. And the next day, I was on a commuter boat coming from Boston to Hingham, and I met this guy, and we were talking on the back of the boat, kind of where the engines, the smokers and stuff like that. So we got into a conversation about music and how I'd seen Steve Earle, and it turns out he is a music producer. So he said, he gave me the offer. He said, if you write a bunch of songs, and he said, I will record you for beer. Not realizing that I would actually take him up on it. So that's exactly what happened. So then, so that was the deal. So over the course of about 6 years, we kept pounding out these songs, which became a little bit like a VH1 Behind the Music thing. We had some great songs that were just left on the table, which I thought were fantastic. And, one that he loved, that he thought, this sounds like, Ray Davies and the Kinks, and we're going to add piano to it. And then he went in for neck surgery not long after that. And then, so we were off for about a month. And then when he came back, I was all excited to work on the song. And he turned the thing on, and he goes, this song's lost its mojo. This is gone. It's like, what do you mean? So, but
it hasn't changed
since it was basically for beer. I figured I'm going to let him be in control of the sound of this and where we're going. So I was like, okay, well, that's maybe another album will do that one, and that's kind of how that's happened. So we're getting together actually to record the next album too. So we're,
for beer.
I'm hoping it's for beer. Yeah. We'll probably might need a little bit more this time, but we'll see. But yeah. So,
I'd like to do that deal. That's pretty good.
It's a good deal, yeah. And that, by the way, is I did not go into the record thinking that it was going to be really country inspired. But how do you do an album for beer and not have it turn out to be kind of country influenced? That's so I just thought it's a natural progression there.
And you brought your dog, of course.
I do not have the dog yet, actually.
Oh, okay.
No, he did have a dog though. So there was always a dog in the studio, and you could tell whenever if my vocals were off, the dog would howl.
And you're not driving a truck, so.
Yeah, well, that I was at the time, but. Yeah.
Oh, you were at the time?
I was at the time, yeah.
Really, pickup?
Just a Toyota. It's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Toyota's not really a country truck.
Kind of a Corolla that looks like a truck. Really, that's the thing. So, I'd like to do another song.
Okay.
This song is called "It Was Just You and Me," and this song is about. It's a true story, and it's about the same ex-fiance actually, and we hadn't talked in years and years and years, and then we found ourselves at a party in a big beautiful house, Christmas party, and there was a fire going, and tons of people are sitting around the fire, and then slowly but surely everybody got up and left. Not left the party, but left the room, until I realized there we were sitting there. So we talked, had our first words in about 8 or 9 years, and I could see off in the distance that people were kind of poking out of the kitchen door. It was like one of those old kitchens where it had the door like a saloon kind of thing. So they were kind of looking out, what's going on. And I didn't think a whole lot of it, but she and I actually walked out together that night. And then the song is going to tell the story of what actually happened, which is nothing monumental. But I did get a call the next day at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was one of the women who had been hiding in the kitchen watching, and she said, "What the heck was going on out there?"
Yeah.
And I said, well, nothing was going on out there, but but I thought it was a really funny chain of events. So right on the spot, I sat down and wrote this song. It's called "It Was Just You and Me."
I guess the rumors were flying like they used to do. and the party was hiding in the other room. And we shared some old stories, old memories. And when the party was over, it was just you and me. So we talked by the fire in our own little world. I asked the obvious question about the little girl. Alone together like we used to be. And when the party was over, it was just you and me. You never see it coming, see the end. It's hard to look at you like we're old friends. She flashed that old pretty smile, alone at the door, leaving together like we did years before. There in the kitchen, the last ones to leave. And when the party was over, it was just you and me. You never see it coming, see the end. It's hard to look at you like we're old friends. I walked you to your car, looked into your eyes. There was no more to say, so we said our goodbyes. Hold on, there's one thing that I want you to know. That's that I really loved you all those years ago. That's that I really loved you all those years ago. Thanks, Aaron.
It was great.
I love that song.
Yeah, so
I like that one.
yeah, it's a nice love song. It is country-ish.
It kind of reminds me of the it'd be like 1980, like it could have made the Urban Cowboy soundtrack, you know, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I think of it. And the recording of it on the album is kind of a lot of twangy guitar and stuff. It's
funny.
cool.
Deborah Winger was in that.
That's right.
And now they've got this show that's on what is it on? Netflix, I think.
Yeah.
But it's called The Ranch, where Deborah Winger is again wearing a cowboy hat.
Reclaimed her cowboy roots there.
Yeah, she plays a hippie who is in love with a rancher or an ex-wife to a rancher.
Yeah.
And has kids, and so that was a great movie, but that whole country thing didn't really take off so much in the 80s for everybody.
Yeah, it was like a little quick, it was sort of a little quick retro country thing that everybody got into. Yeah, it was interesting. I always liked his truck. That was the thing, that black truck. I remember seeing that, thinking like, I love that truck, you know.
And wasn't that when Rhinestone came out?
I think it was just after that one, so it was on the heels of that.
Yeah, and then Sylvester Stallone, pretending to be a country singer.
That's right,
That was good.
That's right, yeah.
And making it into rock at the end.
That's right.
The great thing about the ending, we turned country into rock.
That's right. Well, it had to be at that point, because you had to. Yeah, exactly. They couldn't actually. That's the problem now, is that this country music isn't really. That's why I try and keep what I do. I try and keep it as traditional as possible. Kind of a Webb Pierce, Lefty Frizzell, kind of backdated a little bit. In fact, there's a song that "You Should Listen to Your Man," which I played earlier, which on the record is actually the demo of the song, because I thought it sounded really, as if you're just kind of on the stage listening to a band play, which I really liked, as opposed to a highly produced recording of it. I just thought it was better. more authentic. So.
Yeah, well, you know, folk music and country kind of cross over quite a bit.
Do, yeah,
so
yeah.
that's, what's another song you have recently?
Well, there is a song called the Facebook song, which I do, which is very popular.
Okay, let's hear that.
Very popular with my students, and it's actually written because it was written when Facebook first came around, and I must have been really intuitive because I quickly got the sense that this is a really dangerous medium here. I don't like this because I could just see my significant other there getting lost in Facebook. While I thought I was being productive, I was in the other room writing songs about it instead. So and I think I was pretty much right on the mark. And as all this stuff comes out with Zuckerberg, or Zuckerman is a Zuckerberg, and then this whole thing is controversy, becomes more and more controversial. And I think this is. I hit the nail right on the head with this, right? So This is called Facebook song, and it's that wicked little site. It goes like this.
When I was young, we had a phone. It hung there on the wall. When you'd reach out to someone, you'd just give them a call. Now they're on Facebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. Well, she said when it first started, she would use it sparingly. I don't think I've heard from her since 2003, 'cause she's on Facebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. If Neanderthals had Facebook, they'd have never left their caves. Bear paintings from Lascaux would be posted on your page and put on Cavebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. Imagine back in Cuba in 1962. Kennedy tells Khrushchev, I'll have to defriend you while I'm on Facebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. Well, there isn't any privacy, there isn't any time, there isn't any freedom that will help us to unwind. Obesity and ADD and short attention spans. There's no need to leave your room, the world is in your hands. When families spend time together, here's what they should do. Talk to one another, not some guy from Timbuktu who's on their Facebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. Too much of this technology can wreck the human race. You can comment on the progress, but we must slow down the pace. Put that on Facebook. That wicked little site. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. You see where I'm coming from, and you know where I stand. And if you want to see some information on this band, check out my Facebook. Gillespie, J-A-Y. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds. If we all give in to Facebook, we're gonna lose our minds.
Thank you. It's kind of my novelty hit.
Yeah, well...
but nonetheless.
It's kind of a serious novelty hit.
It really is a serious novelty hit,
yeah,
yes.
I think it's got a lot of truth.
I think it has a lot of truth as well, yeah.
You do find Facebook to be pretty addicting in most cases.
Yeah.
I think... But
it took me years to actually get on it. I got on it really for promotional reasons only. But even then, I can see, you kind of sometimes you get lost a little bit, which I think is dangerous to society.
Yeah.
And relationships.
Yeah, and, you can get sucked into communication in a way that you don't really get sucked into with email. I think, it's quite different. Right. I don't know why. It's just,
it's dangerous for kids, too, because they feel like they're living in a more social world, and it's really a less social world where I think they're more confined to their rooms, and as opposed to being actually out and being social, which I think is a little bit of a dangerous thing. And they also, from my experience, they can base the number of friends they have, and they're not necessarily on Facebook. I think they're on Instagram, which now all the kids in my school say I should write an Instagram song, but I don't want to write too many songs about the same thing. But
why not Snapchat?
Right, exactly. So they claim to have X number of friends based on the amount of time and the number of friends they have on whatever those sites are.
Yeah.
Which I'm proud to say I'm not really an expert at.
Well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
You probably shouldn't be an expert at...
No.
Yeah.
No, that would be... I'd never leave the house, probably, if that happened, right?
Yeah, well, you can write songs instead.
That's much better to write.
Much better
Much
activity.
rather write songs, exactly.
So,
fun.
So the Facebook song is recent?
The Facebook song was written in 2000, and I think it was written in note form in about 2007, believe it or not. I'm talking right when the first recognition I had that this could be a potentially dangerous thing. It was not written as a song until 2010 to go on the record, when I actually sat down and we hammered it out. However, it was a quick song, it was a quick write, and it was a quick recording. So, which I actually play the banjo on it on the album, which I'm somewhat proud of. Although
that makes sense.
I played the banjo right. So the banjo is my true love as an instrument. I currently own 2 banjos, which some people say is too many.
Some people say one is too many.
Well, some people say one is too many, right? And after 25 years, I can play a couple of things. So it hasn't really. I haven't had the same progress as I've had with the guitar, with the banjo, but I love it nonetheless.
I have the same experience. I have a banjo I bought like 20 or 30 years ago, and I got into it right when I bought it.
Yep.
And then it sits mostly in the closet because it's irritating.
Yeah, it really does. It's it hurts your brain a little bit, doesn't it?
It's fun for a few minutes,
right.
And I don't. You either have to be really good at it,
right,
or it's just something you pull out for effect.
Right. I had a real problem with I have a great case that some ex-students of mine made. It's all painted beautiful, like the sun and the sunrise on it. It's beautiful. And I brought it in 2004. I brought this banjo case into the Music Emporium in Lexington.
Yeah.
And they loved it. It was the first time they had ever had a website back then. So they said, "Can we put your banjo case on the website?" And I made the mistake of saying, "As long as I'm in the picture." And then, I got to tell you, it was a little, I'd go to the Cantab Lounge on Bluegrass Picking Party night, and people would say, like, "Well, there's that guy." And then there's a lot of pressure because I couldn't really play the banjo. So,
but your case was cool.
Case was cool, right? Yeah. So then you'd go into the Music Emporium and you'd be looking through sheet music, and people would be, had to stay out of there because then you're like a celebrity. There's the guy.
So can you stall long enough to not play the banjo at all and just?
Well, I said
hold the case?
I don't just go out and play in public like this. I mean, you have to contact my agent.
Right. Okay.
Like
good.
It's like, Don't think I'm just going to pick up a banjo. This is below me really to do this.
Right.
Kind of, I don't just pick up a banjo and start playing.
Right,
so,
but they'll take pictures of your case.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. There's people like, I saw that famous banjo player outside.
Right.
Right. I didn't want to tell them I only knew 3 songs, but
Well,
yeah, cool case.
How do they know? You could play 3 songs, and then you're like, oh,
even then they
I'm
were marginal
tired.
at best. But it's like it'd be like that guy.
Yeah.
How did he get his picture on our website?
So what are you doing lately for performance?
I have been playing with. There is Jay Gillespie and the Mayav Band, which is fun because we're going out and playing shows. We've been playing at the Jungle in Somerville and Tavern at the End of the World in Charlestown on the Somerville line, and having good success. I think we actually just booked a bunch of gigs at the Plow and Stars coming up, but not June, July, August, September, kind of one a piece. But the band is not really the direction I want to go. I'm much more interested in being in the coffee houses and doing that kind of a thing, and at the most playing as a duo. So the band is fun, but I have to say, and it sounds a little ridiculous to say, but I'm kind of at the point where I want to, not that I'm going to make it that far, but I recently saw an interview with Mark Knopfler where he was saying, well, as an artist, I was always trying to capture the world around me where I grew up and so forth. And it was in 1985 we did the Brothers in Arms album and he's with Dire Straits, and he said, by the time I realized that it wasn't me watching the world was watching me, and we're playing these stadiums. And he said that's why I had to get out, so it was time to back out of it. So to make a long story short, I'm going to skip that part of my musical career. I'm just going to go right by that. I'm not even going to get into that. And I'd like to go right on to the coffee house thing, like the kind of thing that he's doing.
Well, thank you for having the integrity to not be famous.
Right. I don't want to even get mixed up in that.
I understand. I'm the same way.
Right. You don't want that. I don't want to end up in.
I don't want money.
Right.
I just
Right. I don't want
I'm
to
an
end up
artist.
in Las Vegas playing the Facebook song, like Wayne Newton or something. So
right. I don't want that Elvis period where he gets
Well, look what it did to him. Yeah, so it's
right.
just a mess.
I don't want to mess myself up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
I'll be humble over here instead.
That's right. I don't want to live in the Las Vegas Hilton. I just want to
Right.
So right, exactly. Skip the whole although the outfit was nice. I could that'd be
Yeah.
fun, but yeah.
I think I'd look great in that outfit.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah. And right now, people don't even know you're not wearing that outfit.
Well, I am.
Exactly. Right.
We were just talking about the Sylvester Stallone Rhinestone
That's right.
movie.
Yeah, I like the scarf. Yeah, that's good.
So that's good.
Yeah, so that is the story of the band. So the band is doing well, but I really am I'm much more interested in going off and playing myself and telling stories and playing, to tell you the truth, to an audience that really listens to you, which is good, to come up here to the hearing room where people can hear and they listen. So it doesn't really matter what the audience is for me. I just want to make sure that people are paying attention to what I'm doing, listening, they appreciate what you're doing. Like you said, there's some integrity involved with it, things like that. So I can see myself retiring into music. I never technically want to retire. In fact, I want music to kind of be my retirement, so I want to keep working and I want to keep doing that. And that's I'd like to play the coffee houses and tell stories with my songs and continue to write them and play coffee houses until I can't walk anymore, and maybe even play them past that. So that's really my goal with that, and to keep writing.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to stop. I don't think I can stop.
You know what was interesting? You were talking about Mark Knopfler and his talking about how he backed off of fame. I saw Colin Hay a number of years ago. He's kind of gone along the same route,
right? Yeah,
where he's a great songwriter.
He really is, yeah.
But in the '80s, he became like this, behemoth of men at work, you know,
right, yeah.
And they were huge at the time,
right?
And like all their songs were hits. It's just he kept writing them. But then he sort of disappeared and stopped doing stuff. And but he is really a storytelling songwriter, because at his concert, when he's come back, now he's doing what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's sitting on stage by himself,
right?
And he's still amazing. I mean, the songs speak for themselves.
He's more amazing because then you really see the person involved with it too. I think it's actually pretty incredible. I think his story is very interesting.
Yeah, and he when I went to his show, he was like, he told all these stories about Ringo Starr, because apparently the big event in his life was meeting Ringo Starr, and like actually talking to him and everything. And,
cool,
you know, Ringo Starr was his, it's a Beatle.
Right, oh, sure, yeah.
I would be impressed too.
Sure, yeah.
Right,
I met Julian Lennon at the Marriott Copley when I was working there one morning.
Oh,
so
did
I hung up with him while he was waiting for the band was waiting for their shuttle. It must have been like 91. But even then I was completely enthralled, like, oh my goodness, this is, it was an amazing kind of person to meet. I just thought it was so cool.
I haven't heard from him in a while either.
Exactly, yeah, because again, I think he
Right, he has integrity. That's
Right, he
what-
has integrity, right? And he finally realized, like, this is
I need to
I
make
can't
no
do this
money.
without people
Yeah.
look. Kind of like the Live Aid thing when they're like, "Are the Beatles going to reform with Julian?" And they said, "What? We would never do that to him. He just
Right.
can't happen.
Right.
It's like nobody understands that. We would never do that to the poor kid. So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always think of an interview with Sting, maybe in 1983 or something. But I remember, like, at the height of the Police and reading Rolling Stone magazine, and he said that even at the time, he said with the Synchronicity album that it was just getting a little ridiculous because they were in these crazy costumes and this, like, how long can that last before you just realize I've become some kind of a strange monster instead of a songwriter or whatever I am. And
I really like that album, though.
it was a great album, yeah. But again, like a time when it's sort of, you got to pick a time to stop and say, we can't go past this
Right.
point. It just doesn't have any merits.
And then he did the 10 Summoners Tales,
Right.
and, that was great,
And
too.
Dream of the Blue Turtles, yeah. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. I mean, he's kind of one of those guys, too, like a Knopfler, where they say he kind of walks around Newcastle without a penny in his pocket. He's just kind of, writes songs and knows he's kind of lucky to be where he is. And I
Right.
think he's got a few bucks, but,
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does, too. But, a little songwriter with integrity.
Right.
Interesting. So this is I'm going to do another song called "Kerry with a K," which is a true story. This is actually a story, an interesting story about a woman that I knew who was from Sweden. And this is when I get my joke in, Aaron.
Okay,
but I'm going to tell the same joke, unfortunately.
Go
but
ahead.
It's all right. So she's from Sweden, and I was teaching with her in New Hampshire, and her name wasn't Kerry. Actually, we changed the name for the record, but her name was Anna. But if you called her Anna, so you'd say, "How you doing, Anna?" And she would say, "It's Anna with an A, with a little bit of attitude." So that became sort of the coined phrase with her. But she eventually went back to Sweden, and I was living in the North End, and we kept in touch. And she wanted me to come to Sweden to visit her. And I thought, well, it's a great opportunity. It's amazing. But I break into a cold sweat if I cross the Tobin Bridge.
Jump on.
So getting on a flight to Sweden was virtually out of the question. So, but I did make plans a little bit, looked into it, never really happened. And then finally what happened was she came to visit me in Boston.
Oh, that's cool.
Of which the happiness with that visit lasted maybe 2 hours, because I quickly became appreciative of the fact that I didn't go all the way to Sweden, for crying out loud, because she was driving me crazy. The song that I wrote, Anna with an A, which became Kerry with a K, is actually about a little bit about that visit, but it's really the tail end of that visit when I take her to the airport, and I wrote this song right after she left.
Okay.
So I don't know where she is these days, but I mean, I hope she doesn't hear this, but
Well, she might.
she might. You never know. So this is called. We're going to do it as Kerry with a K, and it goes like this.
She said she's leaving, she said she's leaving. Well, I saw her at the airport yesterday. She's still believing, she's still believing. She's gonna see much clearer 13 time zones away. Kerry with a K, I saw her yesterday. She's living in a foreign land alone. Kerry with a K, there's gotta be another way, 'cause it costs too much to hold you on the phone. She said, come see me, you really must come see me. We could plan a bit and have a holiday. Though my heart dances, there are minor circumstances. For me to fly, they must sedate me all the way. Kerry with a K, I saw her yesterday. She's living in a foreign land alone. Kerry with a K, there's gotta be another way, 'cause it costs too much to hold you on the phone. Now it's her birthday, it really is her birthday. Kerry sits alone within a Swedish jail. I'll send a letter, but I surely won't forget her. But it's so damn hard to send a birthday cake by mail. Kerry with a K, I saw her yesterday. She's living living in a foreign land alone. Carry with a K, there's gotta be another way, 'cause it costs too much to hold you on the phone. You know it costs too much to hold you on the phone. You know it costs too much to hold you on the phone.
Thank you.
So Anna with an A.
Anna with an A.
Yeah.
Anna with an A. And that was recorded in the North End with my friend Chris on a 4-track, Tascam 4-track, immediately, because we would write songs and then run over to, hey, I wrote a song, so we got to get to work. So we did that. And ironically, the taped recording sounds very much in the same flavor as the original, as the recording that's on the May Ave CD, the Jay Gillespie May Ave CD. Same kind of flavor, 15, 20 years apart.
Oh,
so
wow.
he was actually really happy to hear. He goes, "That almost sounds like what we tried to capture in 1998 or whatever when we wrote
Right.
that." So it's very cool.
So it's getting toward the end of the show, so
right.
I'd like to ask you the question that I always ask, which is, what advice do you give other people who want to go into music and want to do this, either full-time or just as a hobby, whatever you want to talk about?
My advice is that you go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it even as an 8th grade teacher, but I frequently tell the kids, especially with the price of college today and things like that, but chase your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Chase your dreams, especially if you're a drummer. Chase your dreams, and that's right. And then if your dreams fail, go back, and then you can go through the regular societal process of college and
Right.
do those things. I look at that point in my life between the ages of 18 and 22 before I actually went to college. I'm glad I went to college. It was I did great. I paid for it myself. It's probably my proudest accomplishment. I have a master's degree from BC. It's great, but I frequently look back and think, if I had actually had more confidence in myself early on, if I had taken that road in stand-up comedy, for instance, or music, and really applied myself with that 10,000-hour rule, where could I be today? I actually, when I was doing comedy, to tell you the truth, I was doing comedy at the same time Louis C.K. was starting out at Catch a Rising Star. So much like the guy that we worked with who ended up in the Blue Man Group, you'd wake up in the middle of the night after plugging away doing whatever you're doing, and you'd see Louis C.K. on Conan O'Brien, or I'll never forget the time our old friend Brian, the Blue Man, it was a New Year's Eve show. I believe it might have been Jay Leno at that point on the Tonight Show, and who's on the Tonight Show with Chris Isaac for the New Year's Eve special is one of the Blue Mans, and in the meantime,
Yeah.
what decisions did I make? So, still early. To me, that's how I look at things, and I would take the same advice that I would give to somebody. Like I said, I don't technically want to retire. I said, never too late, and, the songs that I write, I think are better and better and better, and there's no reason why I'm going to stop. There's just no reason. So,
Right.
to me, I'm 50, 51. The way I look at it, hopefully I'm only halfway through.
You're 50, 51?
Yeah.
That's a weird age.
I'm 50, 51. Yeah, it's 5. It's like Yoda.
Yeah.
Right.
50-51.
5,051. Right. Well, I just realized I'm not far from turning 51.
I thought that was 5150.
5150. That's how old Eddie Van Halen is.
Yeah, that's right.
But I feel like there's plenty of time left, and I've only begun the journey at this point. So that's what I would tell.
I think there's a song about
kids.
that. We've only just begun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anyway, so
Okay.
So that is what I would tell. That's what I do tell kids. I mean, to really
Right.
think about don't let people tell you what your dreams should be.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do something, you go out and you try and make that happen. And you put the right time and work into it, you can make anything happen.
Okay.
Take care of it. Now, I was talking to Lisa Bastoni yesterday about this because, I have questions about my own, because I feel like I'm stuck in this situation with the band where I feel like, I want to get into the coffee houses and I want to just go around and tell stories and tell my songs and be in that kind of environment. I feel like I'm on the wrong train a little bit, which I'm writing a song about with that title, On the Wrong Train. But it's just a question of redirecting yourself and getting yourself on the right path and getting there, and that's where I want to go.
Yeah,
that's it, Aaron.
It's good advice.
Is that a good enough answer for you?
That's good enough for me.
All right.
There are no wrong answers.
There are no wrong answers, right?
There are, but
there are wrong answers, right?
Right. But I'm not going to tell you if you're wrong.
Right. Oh, okay. Now I'm mystified. Now I want to know.
You're not wrong.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, you just did
there
tell me then.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So you want to do one more song before we close it out?
Sure. This is. Let me see. Should I do? I'll do kind of a. I don't want to leave on a depressing note, do we?
Whatever you want.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's your show.
All right. This is called. Actually, I'm going to do kind of a slow one here. Okay.
Okay.
This is called "When I Lost You," and it goes like this.
I know you got all your troubles with trust, weighing you down all the time, fooling with friends and a show every night, drown us in a bottle of wine. Said that I loved you, my love is true. That's why I put that big diamond on you. True love is worth more than some diamond ring. When I lost you, girl, I lost everything. You were my beautiful flower, a lover on whom I depend. But you didn't know me from Adam. You weren't as much of a friend. Said that I loved you, my love is true. That's why I put that big diamond on you. True love is worth more than some diamond ring. When I lost you, girl, I lost everything. You should have taken the advice of your man. Reactions cause so much doubt. House ain't more important than the love that you have. When will you figure that out? Said that I loved you, and my love is true. That's why I put that big diamond on you. True love is worth more than some diamond ring. When I lost you, girl, I lost everything. When I lost you, girl, I lost everything. When I lost you, I lost everything.
So that was great.
Thanks.
And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for taking the time. I totally appreciate it. Love the Hearing Room.
Yeah.
Good
Hearing
place.
Room's a great place. And everybody should go to hearingroom.net to find that out.
Absolutely.
And learn what we've got for you. So we've been talking with Jay Gillespie. And where do you find Jay Gillespie online?
You find Jay Gillespie online on, well, first of all, there's the Jay Gillespie column, which is readjaygillespie.blogspot.com, and or you could Google The World According to Gillespie, which is the title of the column. Mm-hmm. Either way, you can find me. You can find me on Facebook, Jay Gillespie Music. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple Music, on, what else is there?
I don't know.
Song Trader, it's on YouTube. It's all over the place. CD Baby. CD Baby is,
okay.
CD Baby. The CD is there. If you want to look up Jay Gillespie, the May Ave album, that's on CD Baby.
All right.
It's all over the place.
All right. So
Parts
thanks.
unknown to me, though.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is right.
And you could write a song about CD Baby next.
I'm sure I could.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, we're gonna call it a show, which it is, and we want to remind you that hearingroom.net is the place you can go and become a member and also find out about all our events. And we want to thank Greenville Junction Shop, Greenville Junction Shoppy, JUNKTIONSHOPPE. Check them out on Facebook. Check out greenvillejunction.com, JUNKTION. And all of that is available online. Have a great week, everybody.
If you start with a dream and share it with some